Welcome to the Lucky Breaks podcast. We're joined by semi-pro Josh Watson. Fresh off competing at the recent BCA Nationals in Las Vegas, Josh is here to share his experiences and talk about getting ready for the APA World Pool Player Championship. Stay tuned as we learn what works and what doesn't when you're trying to get better at the game of pool. We hope you enjoy. Welcome, everyone, to the first edition of the Lucky Breaks podcast, where we talk to amateurs, semi-pros, and hopefully professionals who play pool to learn about what works and what doesn't work when you're trying to get better at the game of pool. In our first episode, we're talking to Josh Watson, who I've talked to before about his experiences playing pool and competitive pool and trying to get to the top spot. And he's going to come back to us and tell us about his experience at the most recent BCA Nationals event in Las Vegas. Welcome, Josh.
Hi there.
Before we get started, Josh, why don't you tell a little bit about yourself to our listeners?
Okay. Well, I've been playing kind of amateur pool for about 15 plus years. I would say in the last 5 years or so is the only time I've really broken into that semi-pro category. Had a couple of experiences with the pros, and then had a lot of high finishes in the amateur leagues. Not won anything yet, but maybe this is the year.
Sounds good.
That's where I'm at right now. I also coach, and I go to school and do a couple of other things. Pretty well known, I guess, in this community now. So
yeah, you're our favorite semi-pro in the
yeah. I hear that sometimes.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about the BCA event that happened in February?
Okay. This was my first event where I did both the singles and team events. I think that I was like really invested in the team. One of the times I did it, I can't really say I was like, my mind wasn't really there, but this time we really tried. We built a great team, and I finally felt like I had that kind of missing aspect from some of the team events I'd done before. Was a bit of the camaraderie. And I know the first time I ever got to like nationals, that was like what really drove us, was that we just didn't have all the right numbers. So it's like trying to find that balance is really tough. And this was finally on like the other side of that, where I was tilted the other way. And singles, I didn't do so well this time. Last year, got a pretty epic second place in a couple of them, a couple high finishes, but this year nothing high finish yet.
Two questions. One, tell us a little bit, when you say the balance, I think you were referring to the team camaraderie, that sort of thing. What do you mean by that?
Well, in the singles, you really only have to worry about yourself and trying to keep your life balanced. And when you have the team aspect, you're now trying to balance the egos versus the personalities that are on the softer side. People who are more aggressive, people who are more relaxed, people who are more they're drinkers and they want to have a good time, people who are more focused and more competitive. There's a weird balance somewhere in the between there that every team has to find if they're going to go deep in tournaments and if they're going to win. And they also have to be good at the game. Like, you can't just have all of one or the other. And so it's really tough to find that line. And the very top of that mountain is you got to get lucky. You got to have the good rolls too.
Yeah.
So if you don't have them all, you don't win. And that's true for the singles, but it's even harder for the teams. So I say it was interesting seeing like that, all these different dynamics come into play.
Well, I could ask you if you're comfortable talking about the team dynamics on this team, or we could bring your team back for another conversation.
I don't know. It's kind of, you got to get all of it. It's a big coordinated deal.
Well, how many people were on the team?
5 or
Okay.
6. It's not actually not that. Now that I think about it, it's not that hard. I think some people. This one was specifically like probably the hardest one for like the external factors that were going on. I felt like everybody was getting sick this year, and it wasn't just me. Like I was not happy to see that everyone was getting sick, but I was finally like, oh, okay, it's not just me this time, because I have this weird tendency to get sick right before a major event.
Yeah. A lot of people on my team were sick too.
And this year, it seemed like everybody was getting sick. I kind of beat it back, but then other people had other external factors or pulling them away from home. Other people, it was their first time being there, and so those weird nerves. Like, I could see these people are not playing, they're not doing what they normally do. It's like the nerves were getting them, and some people played out of their shoes. Like, they were playing better than I'd seen them play before. So it was a very interesting range of things to deal with, and myself included. I wasn't playing very consistent at all. So it was like I didn't know what to expect really going forward. When we won, we kind of barely scraped by, and then it was our time to lose. We lost. So
Okay, well let's maybe table that for a future episode. Maybe we bring a couple members of the team together to talk about it. Why don't you tell us about your singles performance and anything stand out as like particular highlights, lowlights? I know I watched at least one of your matches.
with Jared. This one, it was just really uneventful. Like for me, in terms of the singles, I didn't play well. I hadn't been sleeping well, which is a very common occurrence. But I was just there, just knocking balls in when I was there. I wasn't thinking very clearly, and this was probably because I was just starting to get dehydrated and I was starting to like get sick. But I just didn't play well, and so and even if I did, I might still not have won because some of my opponents were playing really good. So, like I said, I was saying one of that kind of combination of things you need to win is you got to be playing good, you got to be feeling good, and then you need to get some rolls too. And if you're not getting some or more of that, then you're probably not going to win, and that's just what happened this year. To contrast it with last year, where even though I did almost get sick, all those other things were working for me. Where I was playing well, I was thinking well, I was well hydrated, I was in good shape. I was and I was there by myself, like where I didn't have a lot of distractions too. So that really helped me focus, I think. And this year was just different.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to be a good one.
A different vibe, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping this next upcoming one is a little bit more fruitful. So.
Okay. What's the next coming?
Next one's going to be the APA World or Pool Player Championship World. So I have the singles for that and doubles, and then I'll be rooting on some of the Masters teams from here and team captains and all that that are up there. I think the ladies teams are playing during that time as well. Am I right?
Yeah, around that same time. Yeah.
So I'll be watching them, watching the all the other singles participants and whatnot.
Any takeaways from the BCA that you think you're going to bring to the APA? Like anything you're going to do the same, different?
One of my biggest things that I've started, like, since the new year, I've been on this new year old me kick where I was like, I need to get back in the shape that I felt good. So I've been going to the gym a lot more. I've been drink a lot more water where I usually didn't. I switched to the really healthy versions of like the energy drinks where there's like 0 calories and a bunch of vitamins and it's just got caffeine basically, no sugar. I do very little sugar now. Getting onto like kind of a keto diet where I'm doing like low carbs and trying anything just to feel a little better and to go throughout my life better. I'm also going to school now. So things like that are like where I'm a lot more active, make me feel a little more productive. And then I think I've just been sleeping better because of that too, because I'm now on a morning schedule. All of that I think is going to help me do a little better, or at least feel a little better when I play, which is one of those factors we were talking about that it can help.
Yeah.
It certainly can't hurt if I feel better. So
yeah,
I think those are some differences over in the last couple months that might see some improvements. Because even at my level, like there's still ranges of how I can play and how I can margins where I can improve upon, and that's what I'm trying to do there.
Yeah. I'm curious about something that you said stood out, because when you're going with a group of folks, it can be really tempting to get sucked into the part, not partying so much as sort of extrovert, being very extroverted, really maybe, especially if you're a little bit introverted, you can kind of drain your energy reserves by being around so many people and really engaging with them and kind of taking your mind off the ball or your mind off the game and taking you out of the place where you can be most competitive. Does that happen for you? I feel like it happens for me sometimes.
Yeah, 100%, because everybody reacts to losses and victories differently. Some people are more stressed. They need to be picked up. Some people are the ones who are picking other people up, and that's what makes them feel good. They don't want to see them moping around. And I'm one who tries to not let people get too overinflated when you have a big win or something. All right, we need to get better. We don't
Stay humble.
You don't have to take that next drink or two to celebrate. You don't have to go have the big meal. And so now you're sleeping weird, and then your mood's shifting because you're eating bad, or you're eating something that's comfort foods, and you're not staying properly hydrated for the next matches that you're going on. So the preparation, I think, is just as important as the maintenance during the events with those big team events, because you also have all these battling personalities and people who don't always get out to Vegas. They want to have some extra fun in that downtime instead of go hit some extra balls, instead of rest, instead of just get off their feet, sit down, get out of the hotel, go get some fresh air. Don't just be stagnant. And if you are, it should be in your bed when you're not like to recover. And people don't do that. They don't want to do that. They think that because they're on this high, these little Vegas butterflies where they're like, oh, I can do it all, and I want to experience it all while I'm here, because maybe they don't come back, you know. And so it's an interesting dynamic of characters that way. And then on the other side is always the downside. Some people, they just get depressed and they hold, like if they don't feel like they're pulling their weight and they feel like they're getting carried through the whole tournament. When the situation calls upon them to play well, they might still not play well because they have that weight on them. Even though it's not how they normally play in that situation, they might. So those are, and there's way more. There's way more things that you have to deal with. But those are a couple of things that, like, dealing with the different personalities and stuff, you see different things from people that you may not seen before. They become unpredictable.
Yeah, they get irritable or they, I'm curious about how to prepare for that part of a competition, because, we are trying to go to these events and really perform, but it's hard to get practice time at that level of intensity. And so you're kind of going in there a little bit cold. I mean, you can practice and do all the warm-ups and drills and things like that, but how do you get better at the pressure game? Other than being in the pressure? Like, are there any, habits, skills?
Yeah, so I've listened to a lot of Niels Feijen's fan. I'm not exactly sure how to speak in Netherlands speak.
Oh, is it F-E-I?
Yeah, I don't know how to say it in Dutch, but so his mental management course was so good, or the Mental Edge, it was so good in talking about that, how what you do on the table can be just as important as what you do in the chair, and when you're watching your opponents. And that's the same as before you get there, how you mentally prepare for it. Is if you're treating every league night, every match, like it's a game and like it's fun, and it's not a sport and it's not a competition. When you get to that higher level, that when it becomes a sport and competition, whether you want it to or not, whether you're ready for it or not, you don't really know how to react. So it's a bit of experience and a bit of mindset there, personal mindset, and really being exposed to what it looks like. That's honestly why I like the BCAPL Worlds as much as I do, is because you get to watch some of the professionals there. You get to find your favorite pro. You get to see what they do and what they don't do. Very rarely that's why it's always dramatic and viral. If they throw the cue or they slam a chalk, they throw their hand up in some way. They're, oh, look at that. Oh, he's really
they
flustered.
showed emotion.
Yeah, and it's like, there's a reason they do and don't do that. Sometimes it's robotic and you can tell they're like faking it till they make it, and they're very nervous because they're so stiff. And some people are more fluid and they're more relaxed, and their breathing is better. And they're that's another that was going to be the other thing you can do to prepare for that: meditative breathing, taking these mental management courses, seeing what to expect, and going through the grind. Very few people have a lot of high level success really early in the sport, and if they do, it's because they have all of these kind of things lined up for them, where they have top level coaches. They learn really young when they don't build a lot of bad fundamentals. And then they're just in the right place at the right time, and financially as well, they can afford to go to these events and get that experience, and they don't have as much pressure on their backs, and they usually excel. Meanwhile, all these other players and stuff, while they're, especially in the singles, and they're out there by themselves and no longer in a team event, and as you say, they're exposed to this new environment, and they're like, "Whoa, man, what do I do? How do I do?" They've got to find that Zen spot where they can let all that go in the moment. It is very hard. It's a lot easier said than done, because I still struggle with that myself. A lot of the pros still struggle with that. So it is no easy feat there. But that is, I think, the goal is trial by fire, getting the experience, getting beat up on by some of these better players, running through some of the weaker ones, and knowing where you stand, going to the minis, like playing like even just a little bit, playing in your local competitions. Maybe like I generally don't endorse it, but sometimes gambling for small. Feel free to cut that if you want. But even little challenge matches or really little exhibition challenge matches against a better player. Like tell them you buy them their drinks if they play a small set with you or something, and really like grind it out and watch them play. Like learning those little bit of things, the ways that they move. You can't see necessarily on videos and YouTube and stuff. There's a different feel in the atmosphere when you're actually watching somebody play, so it's that's probably, I think, how I got where I got. Yeah. And that's and because I definitely didn't do a lot of gambling. It was more just getting into every tournament I can find. Sorry, it was a long rant. I'm not sure if I hit what you were talking about.
Yeah, as you were saying all that, I was reminded years and years ago. I think someone told me, because I had just been playing in league matches and things like that. I wasn't really playing in the tournaments, but I think a coach said, "Hey, if you really want to get good for the higher level tournaments, you have to be in that environment. You have to raise the stakes when you play, because if the stakes are too low, you're not going to put in top effort. You're not going to see how you react with the pressure on." And I think ever since then, I've started doing better. And then I have some teammates who don't do that or don't seek those out. And you can really kind of tell when the pressure's on, when you're in an event where your team is trying to get to the next level. You can tell who's been playing in tournaments and who hasn't, because they just can't.
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of deer in headlights things that happen to people, the doe-eyed kind of bright-eyed, bushy-tailed look that they get because they're, it's just that exposure. It's where they're just like, well, this is it. I need to do the same thing I've done for the last couple months leading up to this big event. Oh my God, how do I do that? And it's like your brain turns off in a way, and you get that fight, flight, or freeze kind of moment too, where it's like the adrenaline's up. This means something now, like you said. And so if you play regularly like that, it's less effective. Right. That moment is less effective on you. Yeah. And I say less because there are very few people who are unaffected by it. Right. But, and it's weird. Some people are the opposite. Some people, and you'll hear this a lot from gamblers, is they say they don't play good unless there's something on it. They're the opposite, where it's like if there's nothing on it, then they're just knocking them around, and they just can't mentally take it seriously. I used to think it was just a tactic to get you to bet or get you to like something like that, and they want to hide their skill level till it's worth it. But some of them, they really just don't get in the right mental headspace. They cannot play the shots. But then once the money's down, unlocks something different in them, and they go super focused, and they can do some crazy things. So. Yeah.
I have that problem, I think, a little bit because I don't love to go out and practice because it's just kind of boring. There's nothing on the line. And I think that really holds me back with my skills, because I'm just not going out there and trying shots. I'm just seeing a shot for the first time when I'm, competing. And that's one of my weaknesses.
I got something to say on that. Okay. Practice and running drills is going to be the most important factor and if that drill is in the competition and doing sets or something, that's fine, but you've got to have some sort of self-reflective period where you're learning on the table, you're getting to know the table, you're getting to know yourself, your cue, your shit, the weight, your stroke, where those limitations are. Yeah. And not every shot comes up in the competition, but when you do come up to it, you at least have some sort of methodology, you have some sort of thought process for how you make it, how you shoot it, and it feels somewhat comfortable, right? And if you don't practice them, you're never going to be comfortable. You're just like, well, here goes. Maybe you make it, maybe you don't. Yeah. And that's why those drills are so important. And practicing, it's not just like I try to tell everyone, do not just go to a table, throw the balls out there, play 8 ball, shoot the stripes, you miss, play it solid, and then shoot down until you get to the 8 ball, then shoot the rest. Or just
that's what I do.
What I always recommend is either play straight pool, or throw out some rotation, hit some big stroke shots where you need to spin the ball, you need to move the ball, and you need to have perfect placement of the ball. And then when you don't, then you have just found what you need to work on. Shoot it 10, 15, 20 times. Make your hour of time really worth it, where you're like, okay, I played that shot bad. And then you at least can try to bump up those percentages of your making it. a little bit more. And then when you don't, and then you could just keep on doing it again. Run a rack, like take the mind off the game for a second, just play, have fun, then find something you work on. It shouldn't be all drills and robotic and feeling like you're doing stop shots for an hour or follow and draw. Like, it shouldn't be all that. You can do that. And a lot of like high-end pros will do that, but you don't have to, especially at the amateur range, to get better. You don't need to do that.
Okay.
You probably closer to what I mentioned just then is like have some fun, take like section it off. You know,
yeah.
like
What would be like a recommended drill that you would give someone like me?
to the stop shots from corner to corner, like giving a 5-6 diamonds of distance, and then a couple diamonds from. And I'm talking about 9 foot a table as well. I always recommend you practice on the 9 foot, so that you can see how your stroke holds up over distance and see where your power might be lacking in certain strokes, and then working on those stop shots to see how clean you can hit the ball consistently. If you can do that 7, 8, 9 out of 10, that's pretty decent, and you're going to do most shots decently well. And really finding how low you can comfortably go on a draw shot and get the kind of reaction. A full table draw shot is really easy on a slick cloth, but depending on the table, that it's a really defining moment of if you have a good clean stroke, and if you can get the ball coming straight back, or at least
from
close enough to, from distance. Those are good definers. And the reason I don't say the follow is because it naturally happens when you hit center or above center, and it's a lot easier to get a good follow through and see that reaction. The spin's already, you're not fighting the natural spin of the ball.
Yeah.
So that's, I wouldn't recommend that.
Okay.
So
That's kind of a
stop
waste
shots
of
from
time.
distance, and then working on your pattern play, working on setting up specific balls, like toss them out there, like 5-6 balls, and then if you can pick the ball that you want and pick the next ball and keep the cue ball in a specific pattern, and keep it controlled, and then I would usually, like, if you throw them out there nowadays, you couldn't used to, but now you take a picture of wherever they land, and then if you miss, set them up again and try to do like best out of 5 or something. Whether if you fail or miss it, and then if you continually miss it and you can't hit the drill, then you subtract some balls. You make them easier. You define a drill based off your limitations and not, or you design it, not define it, around your limitations or your goal right now. Like, so, okay, I'm, like I said, for stop shots, okay, I was hitting 6 or 7 stop shots out of 10 from this distance. Let's bring it closer. Can I bring that higher? Let's move it further. Am I the same, or should I drop? Because usually when you add distance, when you add angle, when you add speed or spin, it's going to make the shot more difficult. So if you're doing better from further, or you're worse from short range, why is that? And trying to find exactly where your limitations are, that I was saying. And then designing drills around that, where you can stun the ball and see how many times in a row you can do that within a drill or a game setting. And then break up the monotony, hit some balls, have some fun, stay loose, drink some water, and then do it again.
Okay.
And that's the kind of the format, how when I'm playing drills, that's what I do. To keep it, you don't want it to be boring. You don't want it to be pointless. You don't want it to be for nothing.
Right.
Like, whenever you're hitting the balls, like you're testing yourself and you're growing in that moment.
Yeah. Because you want to keep yourself motivated to go back to practice too. So, okay. I'm thinking about time. How are we doing on time? Oh, that's perfect. The little pre? Okay. Well, since we're already sort of in a break, anything you think I should ask? Okay.
You tell me to stop ranting.
No, well, we're trying to keep the episodes around 30 minutes or less.
Okay.
So this is actually perfect time.
Yeah. She learned from the last time. Oh, you watched the last one, right? Oh.
Yeah, I was just listening. Yeah, I had a
Coughing upset.
Yeah. We'll put a link to the first one in this one.
You got to give me like a clicker whenever I'm ranting for too long, though.
Well, since we're just chatting, I am worried about how much this is making little shushing noises. So we'll figure that out. Yeah.
Oh, I was moving it.
Yeah, and you were going like this. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, hopefully it'll be fine. We'll figure it out. Okay.
Quit being lazy. Practice your drills.
Okay. All right. Well, This was great, Josh. I'm curious, as you're approaching the next few weeks before the next big tournament, what's your routine? Are you practicing daily right now? What else are you doing?
Not necessarily daily. Number one thing is I'm drinking a lot more water. I'm going to try out one of those like immuno pack things that I've seen online. I don't know how gimmicky it is. I don't know if they just put some saline in you or something, but it's like supposed to boost your immune system or whatever. I'm trying anything right now to like stay healthy this time and just maybe go win something. I don't want that to be the reason I lose again, is because I'm drowsy and dehydrated because I'm sick and I can't focus because I'm just exhausted from battling sickness. Yeah. It's such a terrible like excuse to go. I just didn't feel like winning, or like it sounds terrible. And I've got more fight in me, I guess, than what it seems like in those moments. And so I hate how it looks and feels.
Yeah.
So trying to stay healthy. That's one of the number one things. Back on a better sleep routine. I'm waking up way earlier than I used to, thanks to the morning classes. But I'm also eating more in the morning, so I'm staying healthier than I used to be. I'm not just relying on energy drinks and then practicing. I'm making myself get out there at least 2-3 hours a day, maybe 3-4 times a week outside of league. So right now I only play 3 times a week. I play Thursday, I play Saturday and Sunday, and then I'm trying to, so basically 2 or 3 other days, I'm trying to just get out there for a little bit after the gym, go hit some balls too. Man, I make it part of that routine.
Okay, great. Awesome. Well, I hope everything goes as we hope and expect. I hope to see some of your matches live streamed. I'll be on the lookout for those on Facebook. And thanks again for being our inaugural guest.
Of course.
We're excited to get this out to the world.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Lucky Breaks podcast. You can find more episodes at youtube.com/@luckybreaks-podcast or by searching for Lucky Breaks on your favorite podcast player. This episode was produced by Sue Leader and Aaron Schulman. Thank you for your support. Sign up to be a guest on a future episode from our YouTube channel page.